In 2005, he started AfriConnect in Zambia. As a high-speed wireless-based speed, now the largest such provider in the country, the company was sold to Vodacom in 2012. He now runs iSchool, which he founded to provide comprehensive multilingual primary education delivered via a low-cost tablet computer. Let's welcome Mark Bennett as he talks about iSchool and ZUI.
So I've been given 5 minutes to talk about reinventing education in Africa. So we've got to move fairly fast here, and we've all got to think pretty quickly. Africa is changing. Africa is changing rapidly. It's certainly changed in the time that I've lived here, and even as you can see, the relatively conservative economist thinks that it's changing too, having gone just within this century from hopeless to hopeful. And now hopefully we're going beyond hopeful. So we're rising extremely quickly. As you can see, our population is rising as well. And if anybody's worried about too many Chinese coming into Africa, you just look what happens by the turn of the century. 4 times as many Africans as Chinese. So it's time for the return ticket, I think. So it's going to be, you've got a huge and massive population rise that's going on throughout the continent. And at the same time, we've got a very good economic development. So this country's economy is growing at 7% or so, not uncommon around the continent, although we're doing better than many. But we have a problem that we hit before too long. At the moment, most of our wealth is derived from digging holes in the ground, extracting minerals. But if the economy is to grow and actually have an effect upon the mass of the population, then what has to happen is that we have to do more with those minerals that have come out of the ground. We have to start processing them. We have to start adding value to them. We have to start deriving secondary economies. And in order to do that, there's a number of prerequisites. And one of them is a good education system. We have to have a more skilled workforce. And yet, at the moment, we have many problems. Because of the rising population, we don't have enough teachers, we don't have enough schools, we don't have enough textbooks and other resources in the classroom. We've got large class sizes, and we've got a lack of motivation. A lot of it arising from the fact that quite necessarily, as a result of all these other things, a lot of the learning that's going on in the classroom, which is why I've highlighted it in big letters, is based around rote learning, memorized learning. So people with fantastic memories, but not necessarily great problem solving and learning skills. So what can we do about that? We've seen some smartphones already this afternoon. But this is really what made the difference to African communications. This $10 60 kwacha phone is what's now possessed in some way or another, or accessed by about 90% of the population in this country and more widely further afield. So nobody needs landlines anymore. We didn't worry about landlines. We jumped straight from having effectively nothing to having one of these. So the question is there another technology that we can co-opt in order to be able to leapfrog ahead with the many problems that we might otherwise face with education? And if I didn't think the answer was yes, I wouldn't have asked the question. So here is a device which can be personalized. It can be carried to a classroom anywhere, whether that classroom is under a mango tree or in a really posh school. It can be used by teachers with any level of skill. So when designing it, we were specifically thinking of the rural untrained teacher under a thatched roof. What can we do with him or her to help them to be delivering international standard education? We took the Zambian primary curriculum, the whole of it. We worked it down to lesson level, and for every single one of 5,000 or so lessons, we have a very detailed lesson plan. And that lesson plan is guiding you towards open questioning and interactive inquiry-based learning. And all of those are not on pieces of paper, they're actually on this tablet. And equally on the tablet is the learning for the students. So the teacher just sees her lesson plan, that's on here, guiding her throughout the classroom, helping her to differentiate between weaker and stronger students, moving around in blended learning formation. And then for the student, there is learning on the tablet as well. Okay, I don't know if my microphone is picking that up. But appropriately illustrated, locally voiced, translated in all of the early grades, and hitting that very important point of learning, starting to learn in local language, local mother tongue, which makes such a difference. Thank you very much, Mrs. Mumba. Yes. Excellent. Star of the show, Mrs. Mumba. And also on the same device, there is actually a one-year teacher training course to help those same people after we've taught them and after we've mentored them. Talked to some of the iSchool staff who are here this afternoon. And we continue that through into helping teachers in the classroom. So here is a typical classroom. The picture at the top is actually in Kalingalinga Basic School, just down the road. And what we see is a blended learning model, so the teacher working with one group in a carousel of 3 groups going around the classroom. She's doing some creative tasks. The children sitting on the floor are doing some reinforced learning. And then the other group are working on the tablet to a device. So not only is it comprehensive learning, all covered by the lesson plan, but it also doesn't require such a large number of tablets that it might otherwise do. With that objective, that at the end of the day we are trying to help the children through a lot of interactivity, a lot of questioning, to be able to think and to solve their own problems, find a new way forward in life, and to keep changing their skill for the new economy, wherever that skill is needed. There's an awful lot of other things on this EduPad as well. It's all fully preloaded. You don't need internet connection, you don't need anything else. It's all sitting on a device, including all of those things you see there. And is it working? The tests that we've done over nearly 4 years now show that the answer is yes. It does improve numeracy, it does improve literacy. Very importantly, it improves critical thinking skills and reduces absenteeism as well. And all because, of course, fun is what learning is about. So they are having fun. And without having built new classrooms, trained more teachers, required power or anything else, everything happily will run off solar power, whether it's a big solar power outfit or a small unit like that, is fine for one of those tablets. And at the same time, because we are putting tablets in the village, and as the Minister alluded to in the form of e-government, there are opportunities now in order to be able to allow people to do farming and adult numeracy and literacy, health work, and many other things on here. And they can do that either via the tablet or via their smartphone. So just as everything is available on that tablet, so actually even on a low cost, sort of $40, $50 smartphone, we can see the same sort of things happening. Everybody will ultimately get a smartphone, and the important thing with it is that it doesn't need any degree of literacy, and as was mentioned just now, you can navigate it by picture and it will talk to you in local language. And so if you've added health and you've added numeracy, you've added literacy and so on in there, you've made a huge change. We are now exporting this to the rest of Africa. Zambian export, because there are a lot of people interested in doing the same things in many other places. Education can change, and really we do have the opportunity for the first time to use a new technology to leapfrog over everything else that has got in our way in the past, and to make huge changes to the way that we think about learning, and we can be ahead of the rest of the world in actually delivering this new style of learning. Thank you.
This is